want to highlight as well why the Jewish acceptance of Muhammad is problematic.
Oh, right. But there's no Jewish acceptance of Muhammad.
Or for Maimonides, who say, like, because he encourages the worship of one God, why is very problematic position of Jewish people who kind of say, like, they are our cousins or friends or whatever it is.
Well, they are technically our cousins.
Well,
just we're very, very distant cousins.
It's got to be for 10 seconds. We've got a mutual friend on Facebook. Her name is Molly.
Okay.
Molly Christian. She wanted me to say hello to you and for you to say hello.
Okay.
So you do a quick 10 seconons?
Yeah.
Hello, Molly. God bless you, son.
Hello, Molly. Hope you are doing well. This is Paperboy. Have a
Come to the park.
definitely come to the park, and it'll be nice to catch up and have a conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, Molly.
Oh, I like it.
Go on, Josh.
Hello, JC.
Yeah, buddy.
JC, yeah.
Finally, this debate is happening now.
At last.
So, wait.
Just said he's been
That's
waiting for
about
1
it.
year.
Over a year.
Okay.
Over a year. All the emails, all the...
Okay.
All the
okay,
emails,
okay.
WhatsApp messages.
Yeah.
Go on, Josh. All right, cool. So what's the topic about?
So we're going to have two discussions.
Yep.
So basically here we see Josh with Ali Dawah. They had a conversation about
More than one.
the prophethood of Muhammad and Jews accepting Muhammad as a prophet. So can you just give
An overview.
of how the Jewish
All right.
perspective?
To summarize, basically, Jews do not believe Muhammad's a prophet because the seal of the prophethood was with the prophet Malachi. He was the last prophet. Prophecy was taken from the world after his death. And prophecy had been taken from the Gentiles a long time before that, and in the death of Bilam in the book of Numbers. Of course, Paperboy knows this, of course. I know this. This is something which is well known, and these reasons, and of course the reasons that the Quran, of course, contradicts the Torah in various places, are reasons why the Jews do not accept Muhammad as a prophet. Not that this has much relevance to any arguments or discussions I might have with Paperboy, as neither of us are Muslim.
So I've just got something from, it was a Jewish website, and I just want to see if you affirm what they say in terms of prophethood. So
Which
they
website
say,
is this?
I can't remember, I just got a screenshot.
Fair enough.
But basically says, throughout history, thousands of religions have been started by individuals attempting to convince people that he or she is God's true prophet.
Yes.
But personal revelation is an extremely weak basis for a religion base, because no one can ever
because of the
know if it
argument.
is indeed true. Since others did not hear God speak to this person, they have to take his word for it.
Yep.
Even if the individual claiming personal revelation performs miracles, they do not prove he is a genuine prophet. All the miracles show, assuming they are genuine, is that he has certain powers. It has nothing to do with his claim of prophecy. Judaism's unique among all of the world's religion does not rely on claims of miracles as the basis for its religion. In fact, the Bible says that God sometimes grants the powers of miracles to charlatans in order to test Jewish loyalty to the Torah.
Deuteronomy 13.
Of the thousands of religions in human history, only Judaism bases its belief on national revelation, i.e. God speaking to the nation. If God is going to start a religion, it makes sense he'll tell everyone, not just one person.
Yep.
It says, Maimonides says, the Jews did not believe in Moses, our teacher, because of the miracles he performed. Whenever anyone's belief is based on seeing miracles, he has lingering doubts because it is possible the miracles were performed through magic or sorcery.
Indeed.
All of the miracles performed by Moses in the desert were because they were necessary and not as proof of his prophecy. What then was the basis of Jewish belief? The revelation at Mount Sinai, which we saw with our own eyes and heard with our own ears, not dependent on the testimony of others. As it says, face to face, God spoke with you. The Torah also states, God did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, who are all here alive today. So it says, concludes by saying, Judaism is not miracles, it is the personal eyewitness of every man, woman and child standing at Mount Sinai 3,300 years ago.
Indeed.
So would you agree or disagree with any of that?
Absolutely. Completely true.
Okay, so in terms of linking this to Muhammad, so even if he did perform miracles,
yeah, then
you
it
would
wouldn't
believe.
matter. It wouldn't matter, as it says in Deuteronomy 13.
Okay, because
Same, of course, with Jesus.
we'll go
Same
into
with
that.
Paul.
So, in
Yeah.
terms of
You didn't want me to bring up Paul, did you?
no, we'll go into that later on. But let's start off with Muhammad because
Of course.
Jews
because
always bring
that's
up.
something we can agree on.
Yes, definitely. So
It's nice to get terms of agreement first.
exactly. So in terms of Muslims, they always go to Deuteronomy 18:18.
Of course they do.
And what do you hear from Muslims about this?
Well, they say it's brethren of the people of Israel is therefore not the people of Israel and is therefore their brother, so they choose the uncle, which is Ishmael, instead of going to the brother, which would be actually Edom, Esau. But they go to the uncle and say he's the brother because he's the brother of Isaac, even though we're talking about Israel, who's Isaac's son. And then they say, well, it's got to be a prophet from there, and then they look for somebody who claimed to be a prophet from Ishmael, which obviously we knew they were going to do that because that was the whole point in the first place. They're Muslims,
And what is
it happens
the
to be that his name was Muhammad.
and what is the Hebrew word for brethren?
Achecho.
Okay, so do you have your Torah on
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
So if we go to Deuteronomy 18:18.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand why. I mean, I've heard Christians bring up Deuteronomy 18:18 because they want to say it's Jesus.
No,
I've
no,
never
no, no,
heard
no,
of
no,
them
no. This is just-
wanting to try to
this
put
is-
Muhammad in there.
No, this is
Very
just
strange.
establishing that the prophet had to come from the line of Israel.
Well, yes.
Had to
I
be an
mean-
Israelite.
I mean, the very fact that it says from your brethren, and then the very previous chapter, Deuteronomy 17,
Yeah.
it says, with regards to the laws of kings,
Yeah.
it says that the king shall be from your brethren and not a foreigner.
Yeah.
And in Judges chapter 12, verse 13, it's very clear that, that a foreigner is somebody who's not from Israel. Therefore, we see that from your brethren is somebody who is not a foreigner, who is from Israel. So it's insane to say that somebody from Ishmael is somebody who is from Israel. That doesn't make
But
any
then
sense.
their argument is because it says brethren.
Yes, but they haven't understood
Yeah.
based on looking at the places where your brethren talking to the people of Israel is used and what that excludes.
Okay.
It actually means they haven't really understood that at all.
So the reason why I brought it up, I'll just give you a bit of a qualifier if you go to the Deuteronomy 18:18.
Yes. Deuteronomy 18. Here we are.
So it says before the word, how do you say ark?
Ach.
Yeah, it says kareb.
Mikubecho. Yeah. Novi mikubecho miachecho.
Okay.
A prophet from your midst, from your brethren.
So now the reason why I bring that
Yeah,
up
these
is
two are
because that is
qualifiers.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
you
this
say,
is my
if we go to
argument,
Deuteronomy 17:15, can you just confirm it says the same qualifiers?
Ah, you're using the same argument I always make. Brilliant. We're on the same page, although these are two pages. Yeah, it says. Mikerev achecho, yeah, in the midst of your brethren.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
so that's the word I'm just highlighting
Very
it.
good.
So basically, what we're seeing is the word ark can be used for brethren
Yes.
in general, but when it uses the qualifier, it can only specifically reference a Israelite.
Yes. Well, when it says. So it's not exactly that. That's not what I would say, because over here they have a slightly different way of putting it in Deuteronomy 18 to Deuteronomy 17. Deuteronomy 17 says "Mekeh b'achecho," in the midst of your brethren.
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 18 says "Mekeh b'cho me'achecho," in your midst,
Yeah.
from your brethren.
Yeah.
So we take that as actually two qualifiers over there.
Yeah.
Okay. That they are both exclusionary words. Okay. That God has added to there.
Yeah.
Moses has added there in order to exclude certain things. So
Yes.
the kirbecha from your midst is a qualifier in terms of location. So there it now excludes prophecy from being able to start outside of the land of Israel from once you go in, because of course this entire passage is starting from verse 14 is when you come into the land, right? Because that's where the paragraph begins.
But I think
And from your brethren is a qualifier in terms of the type of people that they have to come from.
Yeah.
And I would argue that the easiest way to show that has to be Israelites
Yeah.
is by using, as you said, Deuteronomy 17:15,
Yeah.
and combined with Judges 12:13.
so. Whilst I would agree with you in terms of the amongst your brethren, but because the argument is used that it uses brethren and it can be used for anyone, when we use the qualifiers together, we will never find a passage where it uses those together to refer to someone other than. So that's why,
That's
in
true.
terms, it solidifies.
It's true.
The point.
It's true. But I think that when, what you're saying does carry some weight. But what a Muslim could very easily say in response is say, well, over here it says in your midst from your brethren. Over there it says in the midst of your brethren. And so over there they can say, well, it had to be an Israelite because it used it in that way and it didn't use it in this way over here. What I'm saying, I think, is a slightly better argument, purely because once we have established from Deuteronomy 17, and also, in fact, I believe in Deuteronomy 23 or 24, it talks about the laws of usury, where it says your brethren, not a foreigner, okay, and we know Judges 12:13, where a foreigner is somebody who's not from Israel, so therefore, you're looking up Judges 12:13, aren't you?
No. I'll just read out Deuteronomy so people can actually understand.
All right then. Can now see from there that when Moses says from your brethren, he's talking about the Israelite people. I would also add another argument that I thought of, which also it's a bit less than either of the arguments that you and myself have said so far, but which I think also carries some weight, which is that, of course, the Muslims will always point us to the verse that says that the Edomite is our brother.
Yes.
So my answer to that is that just before that, with regards to Moab and Ammon, who were the sons of Lot, okay, who came from Abraham's brother Haran, are not called our brethren, and instead they have something completely different. So what I would say to them, another thing to be able to say to the Muslims then, is to say that yes, Edom is our brother, okay, because that's the brother of Israel. But when you look at the great uncle, okay, so when you look at the great uncle Haran, his descendants Moab and Ammon are not considered our brethren. So you have no proof, therefore, to include Ishmael, who's the uncle, as brethren. And we see that Edom is included and Moab and Ammon are excluded.
Well, and I'll just read out the text. So here it says, I will raise up them a prophet from amongst their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command. So again, we just see here the word Kareb and Arch together. And if we go to Deuteronomy 17:15, it says, thou shalt in any wise set him a king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose, from one from among thy brethren shalt thou set king. So we see again Caleb and Arch together in the same structure. So the thing, for example, with Muslims, if you talk about the Quran, they'll say, well, you need to learn Arabic, and this is how we interpret it. But then when it comes to the Hebrew Bible, they seem to become the expert on the Hebrew Bible and teaching Jews how to understand the Hebrew language. But when we actually look at the construct of that sentence, we'll never see it in conjunction to refer to someone who's not a prophet.
Of course, the Christians,
Israelite.
Of course, the Christians would never make such an argument from language because they can't speak Greek.
Well, we'll get onto that.
They can't speak Koine Greek, which is
later
a lot of fun when you talk about what word was it? Parthenos, or what was it?
Oh, Parthenos, the virgin.
Yeah.
We'll get onto that.
Genesis 33. In the Septuagint.
No, that's not Genesis. That's
I know, Isaiah 7:14.
Yeah.
Parthenos is also used in Genesis 33 to refer to Dinah after she was raped.
Okay, well,
it's an argument I'd love to hear how a missionary like yourself would answer.
When we have our next conversation, we'll have a second part of this as well, going on to the Messiah and his qualifications.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So the thing is, according to Maimonides, what did he say about the Muslim people, like how you should perceive them?
Well, he said that the Nazarene and the Ishmaelites, of course talking about Jesus and Muhammad, have sent to this world in order that they should fill the world with knowledge of God and the Messiah, so that when the Messiah comes, people will already have this concept. Okay. And indeed we see throughout the world, whether we look at people like yourself, Christians, or people like Ali Dawah, Muslims, they know of a concept of Messiah. They have some sort of concept of monotheism, even if by Christians it's a little bit diluted, which is an argument we've had before. This is something which is a very positive thing. Muslims and Christians have gone around the world spreading at least some sort of monotheism, some sort of concept of a Messiah, and bringing pagans out of full paganism into
Okay. So
something which is
the reason-
overall positive.
The reason why I bring up Maimonides and his opinion is because I personally feel he's sold the Jewish race down the river. And I'll read some...
The Jewish race, you know what a race.
Well, the Jewish people, I should say.
There
So
you go.
I'll give you some Islamic texts and see what you think about this on Jewish people. So it says...
You don't need to make things that the Quran. Look,
Yeah, but-
I've
but
watched
I just-
David Wood's
I-
videos
I
just as
want-
much as
I
you
want
have,
to get your
I'm sure.
opinion on this.
Okay.
So this is from Sahih Muslim, which is one of the
Yeah.
authentic
Yes,
Jewish
I
texts.
know.
And it
No,
says...
it's not Jewish, it's Muslim. It's one of
Sorry,
the hadiths.
Muslim talks. Yeah.
I know,
Muslim
I've
talks.
heard this from David Woods. You don't
Yeah,
need
but
to
let
tell
me... I just want to get your opinion.
You can all watch David
okay,
Woods. He's
what am I
very
gonna
good. He's got a lovely voice.
What am I going to say?
Okay?
What hadith am I going to read to you?
You don't tell me something about the Jews being accursed or something like that.
No. So it says, the last hour would not come unless Muslims will fight against
Oh,
the
that
Jews,
one, yeah.
and the Muslims will
And the
kill
tree
them
will-
until the Jews will hide
Yeah,
themselves behind a stone or a tree, and the stone or a tree would say, Muslim,
Muslim,
or
here's a Jew,
servant,
come and kill him. Yeah.
there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, Joe Batten said that on the BBC. It didn't go down so well.
Sorry, let me just finish
but,
it.
that,
But
that was funny.
the tree Gerard will not say it for the trees of the Jews.
yeah.
Now,
I know.
wouldn't you see this as a problematic thing? Because
Of course it's problematic.
Maimonides is saying, well, the Jews, the Muslims are spreading monotheism and the knowledge of God
Messiah, God.
to the Gentiles and the
pagans,
pagans.
yes.
But then when we look in their text, this same person was
But
also
not that-
saying,
yeah. I mean,
How-
you could
how
say
do
that
you
about Paul
reconcile
as
that?
well. Look, I don't like
Mm.
what Muslims have to say about Jews.
Yes.
And I don't like what the early church fathers and Paul, whatever, had to say about the Jews.
Mm.
But I can't, I'm not going to deny, I'm not going to stand here and deny all the hundreds of thousands, if not more,
Yes.
Jews who have been slaughtered at the hands of Christians and Christians and Muslims in the name of their religions.
Mm.
I'm also not going to deny that they have done overall to the pagan world a world of good.
okay.
Now,
so
this
then,
is- now, of course, this has caused a lot of bloodshed and a lot of tears for the Jews, but the fact that Maimonides is not. Look,
Did
Maimonides was driven out of Spain by the Almohads. He was driven out of Spain to North Africa by radical Muslims. Okay, by Muslims who followed these texts. Okay, that's true. And Maimonides had to write letters dealing with forced conversions of Jews in Yemen and Morocco.
So
right?
the
He had to
thing-
deal with
the
these
thing
things.
is, because when you had your conversation
Maimonides
with
was
An-
never going to defend Muslims' treatment of Jews
but-
or Muslims' ideas about
but
Jews.
when you had your
But
conversation
about
with Ali Dawah-
monotheism, about monotheism, they've done a world of good.
So when you had your conversation with Ali Dawah, because that's why I was listening, because you said like Balaam was a false prophet.
No, he wasn't a false prophet. He said he was a false prophet. I said he was a true prophet.
Okay. So in terms of Muhammad, so would you see because you said, I believe that prophets can come to different people
Yes.
with a message.
Not
So
anymore,
then-
they can't, but
so
they
then,
could.
so then if he was a prophet, where is he getting his message from?
God.
So if he's getting his message from God, this same God said the Jews will be exterminated in the last hour.
Wait, who? Muhammad?
Yeah.
No, Muhammad is not a true prophet.
So he didn't receive any inspiration.
Exactly.
Is that that's what you believe?
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, prophecy had already stopped. I said that at the beginning.
Okay.
Prophecy was taken away from the Gentiles at the death of Bilam and taken away from the world at the death
Okay.
of Malachi. This is something I
Okay.
said right at the beginning of this video.
So no, that's fine. So also because we have a Muslim audience that reads things, and I just wanted to
Oh,
read
goody.
read you some stories about Jewish history about some of the prophet and see whether you've heard these stories within.
Is this going to be about the war with the Banu Quraysh or
No,
whatever
no, no,
they're
no, no,
called,
no, no,
or
no.
is this
These
about
are
the Jewish woman who poisoned Muhammad?
no, these are from the times of Moses.
Of the times of Moses.
Yes.
Ah.
So let me just find the passage.
By the way, I would recommend David Wood's videos. They're
So
very
this
fun.
is the story of the heifer, and it's in the Quran, chapter 4, and it says
Oh yeah, the yellow. camel.
yes. So I'll just read it out, and then you can tell me about the Jewish perspective of this story.
Yes.
And remember when Musa said to his people, "Verily Allah commands you that you slaughter a cow." They said, "Do you make fun of us?" He said, "I take Allah's refuge from being amongst al-Jahilum, the ignorant or the foolish." They said, "Call upon your Lord for us that he may make plain to us what is." He said, He says, verily it is a cow neither too old nor too young, but it is between the two conditions. So do what you are commanded. They said, call upon your Lord for us to make plain to us its colour. He says it is a yellow cow, bright in its colour, pleasing the beholders. They said, call upon your Lord for us to make plain to us what it is. Verily to us all cows are alike, and surely if Allah wills, we will be guided. He, Musa, said, he says it is a cow neither trained to tilt the soil nor water, the field sound having no other colour except bright yellow. They said, now you have brought the truth. So they slaughtered it, though they were near to not doing it. And remember when you killed a man and fell into dispute amongst yourselves as to the crime. But Allah brought forth which you were hiding. So he said, strike him, the dead man, with a piece of the cow. Thus Allah brings the dead to the life and shows you his ayah, which is proves evidences so that you may understand. So from the Jewish perspective, can you tell us about this yellow cow and a man that was brought back to life by being hit by a piece of this cow?
Well, I don't know anything about a person who was brought back to life by a piece of any cow.
Okay.
The law of the Pora Aduma, as it's called in Hebrew, which actually means red cow, but there was a bit of maybe a bit of mistranslation here and there. Ended up becoming yellow by the Muslims. I don't know. This was a cow that was used for the purification of people who needed to bring sacrifices to the temple, but were spiritually impure because of closeness to dead bodies. Because there are various different levels of impurity. The highest form of impurity is what's called tamei mace, which is impurity from being too close to a dead body. And there's lots of laws all about that, which you can have a look in the Mishnah, in the order that deals with impurity, with purities and impurities, called Seder Tahoros, the sixth of the orders of the Mishnah. There's lots and lots of laws about this, but tamei mace, laws, impurity with a dead body is the highest of the impurities, and the only way to rid yourself of that impurity to become pure from tamei mace is to have a service of the red cow, which is described in detail in Numbers. I forget which chapter.
19.
Chapter 19. Thank you, Matthew. In Numbers chapter 19, and you can read there, and also Tractate Para in the sixth order of the Mishnah gives more explanation of these laws and more details. But there you go. That's really how it works.
Okay, so there was no recollection of this specific event then. So it seems like a historical event that seems to be inserted into the Quran.
Indeed. I remember reading about this when I was trying to get through Al-Baqarah, but then I got bored.
Okay, so this is the reason why I brought this up is because many times Muslims appeal to the Jewish people, but then we look
like
at
the Christians,
we look at we look at stories within the Quran, but no one seems to have a recollection of them apart from Allah.
Yes.
So it would seem very strange that,
Indeed.
like, as Christians, we accept all the stories in the Old Testament and we don't add to it or subtract to it. But then
75
Muslims,
souls, 70 souls. Who's
Then-
counting anyway?
then we see like with Muslims.
I just
Sorry.
love dividing you, don't I? It's a lot of fun from where I'm standing, because I disagree with Christians and Muslims.
Yeah, we'll get onto the Christian part, but
Of course
all
you
I
will.
wanted to do just start off with like the Islamic understanding of the scripture and why Muhammad can't be a true
course.
prophet, or why the Quran is an error. And I'll finish with this last hadith, which is talking about Prophet Moses, and I want to hear your understanding on this from a Jewish perspective. So this is in Jamil al-Tirmidhi. It's rated as Sahih. So it says, narrated Abu Huraira, that the Prophet said, verily Musa, peace be upon him, was a shy and modest man who would never show anything of his skin out of modesty. Some of the children of Israel annoyed him by saying, he only keeps himself covered because of some defect in his skin, either leprosy or a scrotal hernia or some other defect. Allah the Mighty and Sublime wanted to free Musa from what they were saying about him. One day Musa, peace be upon him, was alone. He took off his garment and put it on a rock. Then he took a bath. When he had finished, he turned back to pick up his garment, but the rock moved away, taking his garment with it. Musa picked up his staff and chased the rock, saying, "My garment, O you rock, my garment, O you rock," until he reached the group of the children of Israel, who saw him naked and discovered that he was best of those whom Allah had created. He said, "The rock stood still." He took his garment and put it on. He started striking the rock with his staff, and by Allah, the marks of that beating were left on the rock, 3, 4, or 5. This is what is referred to in the ayah. O you who believe, be not like those who annoyed Musa, but Allah freed him from what they had alleged, and he was honorable before Allah. So, can you tell me, like, the Jewish
What
perspective?
I thought about that? Well, I thought, well, that's a story I've never heard before. I also thought, isn't it lovely that Paperboy stopped trying to missionize me?
That's coming next.
He's just interested in talking about his beef with the Dawa team. I mean, you should speak to the Dawa team. I'm sure they'd love to hear it. I mean, not Ali Dawa. He just run away like with Bob last week.
So you don't believe in stones stealing prophets' clothes?
No.
Okay.
And I also don't believe in fruitless discussions about other religions who have no representatives here to defend themselves, even if I do believe that they are they're absolute nonsense.
Okay, so the reason why I wanted to establish this is because when we look
Point
through...
scoring.
No, it's not point scoring, but basically I want to go through Islamic text and see how reliable it is or credible it is with Jewish sources. Because when I argue from a Christian perspective, I will use the Tanakh. I will also look at some of the things your rabbis have said, which I've done before. So I'm not bringing things that no one hasn't heard of. Even the concept of the Messiah will then go to text to say, have rabbis affirmed these sort of things before, yes or no? And what we will find is there's more of a consistency in the Christian theology than we see with Islamic texts, because even when we speak to Muslims about who is the Messiah or what is the Messiah, they never have an answer. They don't know what it is. Ask a Christian what is the Messiah, they will have an understanding of what the concept of the Messiah is.
Yes.
So on that note, we can obviously go into
The Messiah.
the topic of the Messiah.
Ooh.
So in
All
the
right, that's the end of the introduction. Now we get into the into the meat of it.